If you are lonely, when you feel afraid, you're not the only. We are all the same in need of mercy, to be forgiven and be free. It's all you got to lean on, but thank God it's all you need. And all the people said amen. Whoa, and all the people said amen. Give thanks to the Lord, for his love never ends. And all the people said amen. If you're rich or poor, well, it don't matter. Weak or strong, you know love is what we're after. We're all broken, but we're all in this together. God knows we stumble and fall, and he so loved the world, he sent his son to save us all. And all the people said amen. Whoa, and all the people said amen. Give thanks to the Lord, for his love never ends. And all the people said amen. Blessed are the poor in spirit, who are torn apart. Blessed are the persecuted and the pure in heart. Blessed are the people hungry for another star. For theirs is the kingdom of God. And all the people said amen. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And all the people said amen. Give thanks to the Lord, for his love never ends. And all the people said amen. And all the people said amen. Whoa, whoa, and all the people said amen. Give thanks to the Lord, for his love never ends. And all the people said amen. And all the people said amen. Morning. Not sure what I was doing wrong at the end. Something was wrong there. Glad you've chosen to be with us today. My name is Jim. I'm the worship leader here. And we are home alone again. Tony's out on vacation. And we have still have an exciting service planned for today. And we're very glad you've chosen to worship with us. Before we get started, though, there should be a notebook on the inside of the aisle. Go ahead and sign in, pass it to your neighbors. They can sign in as well. If you have a prayer request, there are cards in the book. Just fill out a card and place it in the basket when it comes around later. Also, check in on your favorite social media platform or your second favorite social media platform. We're not picky. Let your friends know what's going on here at North Star. And if you want to know what's going on here at North Star, make sure to check out the tables out in the Welcome Center. Good information about groups that are going and ministries that are running right now. This time, though, I'd like to invite you to rise and to greet one another. Would you pray with me? Gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, you are always faithful, you are always steadfast, and you are always with us, Lord, and we thank you. We relish in the time we get to spend with you this morning, Lord. We just ask that you enter in this place and that we feel your presence. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
If my heart is overwhelmed and I cannot hear your voice, I'll hold on to what is true, though I cannot see. If the storms of life they come and the road ahead gets steep, I will lift these hands in faith, I will believe. I'll remind myself of all that you've done and the life I have because of your Son. Love came down and rescued me. Love came down and set me free. I am yours. I am forever yours. Mountain high or valley low, I sing out and remind my soul, I am yours. I am forever yours. When my heart is filled with hope, every promise comes my way. When I feel your hand of grace rest upon me, staying desperate for you, God, staying humble at your feet, I will lift these hands of praise, I will believe. I'll remind myself of all that you've done and the life I have because of your Son. Love came down and rescued me. Love came down and set me free. I am yours. I am forever yours. Mountain high or valley low, I sing out and remind my soul, I am yours. I am forever yours. I am yours. I am yours. For all my days, Jesus, I am yours. I am yours. I am yours. For all my days, Jesus, I am yours. Love came down and rescued me. Love came down and set me free. I am yours. I am forever yours. Mountain high or valley low, I sing out and remind my soul, I am yours. I am forever yours. Love came down and rescued me. Love came down and set me free. I am yours. I am forever yours. Mountain high or valley low, I sing out and remind my soul, I am yours. I am forever yours.
Please be seated.
As Jim said, Tony is away, so I wanted to let you know that this service might look a little bit different. There might be an extra video or an extra song, but I think it's, and hearing Wayne's testimony this morning, I think that it will be a service that you will remember. This is the time of our service where we normally take our offering. Probably my least comfortable thing talking about this morning, and I was talking to some other people about it, and the reason we take offering is so we can change people's stories. And recently, this week, our school partnership was giving a Partners in Education kind of award or recognition a couple weeks ago. And so what we're doing is changing stories. It's feeding children, it's diapering babies, and it's changing stories. So we're going to go to God in prayer for a moment and then take our offering. Oh, except the kids are going to go to children's church first. So, all right. Heavenly Father, we're so glad that you have entered our lives and changed our story. And we know that the more people that we can touch, the more stories can be changed by hearing of your love and your goodness. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
If you've been walking the same old road for miles and miles, if you've been hearing the same old voice tell the same old lies, if you're trying to fill the same old holes inside, there's a better life, there's a better life. If you've got pain, he's a pain taker. If you feel lost, he's a way maker. If you need freedom or saving, he's a prison shaking savior. If you've got chains, he's a chain breaker. We've all searched for the dead, like in the dead of night. We've all found ourselves worn out by the same old fight. We've all run to things we know just ain't right. But there's a better life. There's a better life. If you got pain, he's a pain taker. If you feel lost, he's a way maker. You need freedom, saving, he's a prison shaking savior. You got chains, he's a chain breaker. If you believe it, if you receive it, if you can't feel it, somebody testify. If you believe it, if you receive it, if you can't feel it, somebody testify, testify. If you believe it, you receive it, you can't feel it, somebody testify. You got pain, he's a pain taker. If you feel lost, he's a way maker, way maker. You need freedom, saving, he's a prison shaking savior. You got chains, he's a chain breaker. You need freedom, saving, he's a prison shaking savior. You got chains, he's a chain breaker.
All right. So this is the part of the service that we start looking different, right? Yeah. So I was thinking, we all have a story, and sometimes, I don't know if any of you do it, but sometimes I'll be sitting somewhere, and this probably isn't the most polite thing to do, but sometimes I think about what that person's story is, even though I don't know what their story is. But you sit at a restaurant and you think, I wonder who that is. Or I wonder what they're doing or why they're here. Or you sit at the mall while your wife's in the store shopping and you sit there and just people watch. That's what we call it, people watching. I think we all do that, and we come up with little stories in our head. And today we're going to talk about those unknown stories, those stories that aren't always shared, and how important it is to share those stories so that other people can see the transformation that Christ has brought into your life. So we're going to watch a short Chick-fil-A commercial. that kind of goes along with this. And then we'll get to the best part of the service. So sometimes if we bother to read it or bother to see it, or this morning we're going to bother to hear it. And Wayne, the quiet guy that plays bass every Sunday, has a testimony that he is going to share with you this morning.
I think I'm on. Most of you know me probably as the old man in the band. I've been doing it for a long time and enjoyed it. I get great joy and thanks for them allowing me to play with them. I give them a great hand because they do a great job. They're good volunteers, what they do. I've told this story about 16 years ago when we were at Shoal Creek School, and I've added some stuff to it since my original story. So hopefully you're going to hear something about me that's probably going to surprise you, and it probably will maybe even shock you. But, or maybe you said, Wayne's always been like that. I don't know. We'll see. Growing up as a kid, well, first of all, I've got 3 chapters of the book. If I write my story, it would be 3 chapters of the book. My beginning, my middle, and oh my God, I've made it this far. Those are the 3 chapters that I would write right now, because as my story still goes on, I still have chapters to write later. The first chapter of that book would read, came from an unchurched family. We didn't participate in going to church. We didn't go to any Sunday morning services or anything like that. But when we were at my grandfather's or grandparents, I should say, we used to say prayer during dinner time and all that stuff. So we did have some, but very little. I would really call I'm unchurched, as we are trying to reach out to unchurched people here. As I grew up, I continued going on with doing things that, sports. Played a lot of baseball. Did track, pole vaulted. Played a little basketball. Played football. So as growing up, I did all those things in high school. And graduated from North Kansas City High School, and eventually I married my wife, Nancy Hughes, here, or now. You got the next one. There we go. We're not coordinated here. That's, actually you can tell I'm married up. Very lucky in what I did. And I think her father thought the same thing, because her father said, I think he told her once he could do better. But luckily enough, later in life, we were sitting on the couch, and this is sometime later, he said he was proud to have me as a son. So I got him fooled too. So anyway, we got married in 1973, and living in the Choteau area there off of I-35. And things were going pretty good. We did a lot of things. I wasn't the best husband at the time. I didn't do things I should have. I was drinking a little too much and playing music with the little garage band, so I didn't really I didn't do what I should have been doing. So if we move on to another screen, it should be my family. That's probably the last time you ever see me with brown hair. Right up that. I always say that because of those 3 ladies right there, that's why I turned white. So, but as it goes along with like that, like I said, I wasn't a very good father. My priorities weren't there, and I didn't, it just wasn't working out the way it should be. And I almost lost my wife after our first daughter was born because of those things. We almost went through divorce. Luckily, we worked them out and everything smoothed out. I got a better sense of what I should be doing. I started working in 1973 for a company called Stewart Hall. Stewart Hall was a school supply business that they made stationery, Big Chief tablets. How many of you know about Big Chief tablets? A few of you don't even know anymore. But anyway, we made all that stuff, and When I started out there at Stewart Hall, I was doing catching filler paper. And when you catch filler paper, it was a monotonous job. I was ready to quit after the first day. But literally what happens is they have a big machine, and it's a web fed, and it prints the lines on both sides, comes through, cuts it to size, drills the holes, and then it comes down and it either stacks down at 100, 250, 500, whatever you're running that day. So catching that filler paper, it'd come off the end of the line, you'd stack it up, get about 3 stacks, put it onto a board that was 12 by 36, and then it'd go down a conveyor line to the wrapping machine where they put the insert on and wrap it and pack it up in a box of 24. I did that for a little while, and then I became the truck driving job came open, so I started driving a truck for them. And then we were delivering we did a lot of work with the handicapped workshops around town. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with that, but it gives those people an opportunity to go somewhere, work, make a little money, and feel like they're contributing to society. And it's if you've ever been to one, you know that they really enjoy what they do. But I drive around the trucks around town and deliver to several of the workshops. Well, with that being said, as the business progressed, we got busier and busier. And the guy that did the project manager who did all this stuff to work on it was gone for a few days. Well, I took on that responsibility on my own and did the things that needed to be done to get the material to where the workshops were to get the job done. Well, by doing that, they recognized that I was willing to do more, so they gave me an opportunity to work in the warehouse as a warehouse supervisor, the shipping department. So I did that for a while. And then the job came open to be part of that project manager to operate or keep everything going on the outside of the workshops. But we did, eventually it got so busy that we did it, 65% of the business is going outside of the workshops to be shrink wrapped, assembled, bagged, whatever you want to call it. There's several different varieties of things that we did, but 65% of that went outside. Now, when that happened, we got really busy, and I got more responsibility, and I was able to move up in the company. And eventually, they gave me. I became an assistant vice president on that part of the business. So, with that being said, we were keeping all the workshops so busy on the outside that we couldn't get it all done. So I was thinking down the road that I wanted to start my own business. I was going to start up a packaging company and do the same thing. But what happened was a friend of mine and I got together and we started a company called AM Packaging. AM Packaging was going to be a shrink company and assembly job, do all this stuff, and we were going to help out. Well, it got to where we couldn't really get it going like that, so we actually got around and organized the workshops that were outside of the Kansas City area. There were several of those that were sitting there putting nuts and bolts together and not doing anything. So we got them organized and started working with them, and we started up this company. Well, I was working as Vanguard and AM Packaging, which was, I thought, probably a conflict of interest. I didn't really pay attention to what I was doing. And we got everybody organized and got business going, and it was going great. It was making money, lots of money. It was coming in. It was unbelievable what we were making. We were able to move out of the Shoto area, and I moved into a house, a 4-bedroom house, up by Hy-Vee, just south of Hy-Vee in Glenhaven Drive. And I think one of the things you see, I was able to get a new house, a boat, and cars, and with the money we were making. And I was still giving money to the church and doing the things that I felt like we were supposed to, but I wasn't really churched yet. I wasn't really feeling close to God or what God was all about. Well, when we moved up there, we ended up going to a church, Fobby United Methodist Church on 72nd Street. That was an older congregation. They didn't have a lot of youth there, but we had some. Nancy and I got part of the youth group. We did a lot of the stuff that was, mission trips, that kind of thing, doing stuff around town, doing all kinds of stuff, really, actually, with the youth, and really enjoyed it. I met a gentleman there named Wayne Croy. He was an older gentleman, and I think he was my mentor. I was supposed to meet him. And for him, it was him that turned me around, because my priorities were not where they should have been. It was me, myself, and I, and then my family. And that's a terrible sequence of what you need to be. So anyway, I met Wayne Croy. He talked me into going to, you want to show the next slide? He talked me going to a little thing called CO. It's a 3-day deal. I won't tell you what it's all about, because if I did, it would be like spoiling a movie for you. But I highly recommend it. This is where I might give you a commercial to say, hey, you need to go do this, because it is really good. It turned my life around. In fact, it even turned my life around. When I came home on Sunday night, my daughters asked their mom, what's wrong with Dad? That's how touching it was that day. But anyway, God came into my life then. I finally found out what Jesus was all about. But in the meantime, we were making money, doing all the things that, living it up, basically, what I might say, not, chasing my dreams instead of chasing Jesus. Well, Newell came in and bought out Stewart Hall in 1995, and I worked 2 years there while Newell was getting organized, running Stewart Hall. And Newell found out I was part of AM Packaging. They got very upset about that. Remember, I told you I thought it was a conflict of interest? Well, because of my title, I had a judiciary responsibility of doing what I needed to do, and I was even though all the shops were busy around town, I was putting business into something that helped me make money. And that was the problem we had. So before you knew it, I received a letter, or I received I don't know how to put that, but I've got a piece of paper that said we're going to be charging you with money laundering and brain dead there. Money laundering and mail fraud, and big time stuff. I got really deep into this. It really got me. I mean, I didn't know what to do, but I ended up getting a lawyer. Had to get a lawyer. They was charging me with 25 counts total: mail fraud, money laundering, and if convicted on all charges, I was looking at a $250,000 fine and up to 83 years in prison on all accounts. So it was a rough one, and those next 4 years was tough. It was really tough. I got depressed. I didn't know what to do. I was waiting for the next foot to drop. I'd be sitting at the window watching for to come and arrest me, basically. Never happened, but the FBI boys came and wanted to talk and everything. Of course, the lawyer said it didn't. So don't be talking to him. So I didn't do that. But to get a little farther down the road, during that 4-year period before I went to court, it took like 4 years before we went to court. And I got so depressed at things, I left the house with the guns twice, and one time was close. I was ready to end it all. Very, very tough. But luckily, God intervened at the time, and I didn't do something stupid. I could have been. If it went down like I'd planned, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. Just thank God that He was there for me. And I wish I'd heard that song earlier. That in life, that I know God's not going to stop what's happening, but help me to find a better way to deal with what's happening on my roller coaster ride. Well, court date finally came, and I went down to downtown, that big tall building, the federal building, and we went in there, and I was supposed to go in before the judge, and nothing was going to happen. Well, when I got there, they immediately took me into custody, and they put me in a jail cell, and they took my belt, they took my shoestrings, and they just took all that stuff. Well, I was wearing a 3-piece suit because I wanted to look good for the judge, and I lost some weight for this suit. So my pants, I was going, I was trying to hang on to my pants as I'm going through. So they take me up in handcuffs up to court, and I'm sitting there. I've got my pants hanging on my pants. I'm going in there and sit down, and I should back up a step. Right before we went to court, a little bit before we went to court, we went in and I had to talk to the prosecuting attorney because I was unable to continue paying this lawyer after $80-some thousand to take care of my problem. So I ended up he wouldn't do any more because I couldn't pay him anymore. So I got a court-appointed lawyer. That lawyer immediately wanted to do a plea agreement. So we went to the prosecuting attorney. We did a plea agreement. Went up there to do a talk with the prosecuting attorney. The FBI guys were there. The IRS was there, and of course the prosecuting attorney, like I said. And we were talking, and he said, I told him, I said, we never tried to do anything illegal here. We had our business license. We paid our taxes. We did all those things that we were supposed to be doing. But because of my fiduciary responsibility, that was where I was in trouble for. So anyway, we got done saying, I told the prosecuting attorney, I said, no matter what you end up doing to me, is never going to make me feel any worse or guilty as for what I've done to my family. So with that being said, we was getting ready to leave. The prosecuting attorney gave me a hug that day. When I left, he realized that, we made a mistake. It wasn't intentional, but it was a mistake. So with that being said, the court date came up. I went up there hanging on my pants, sitting in front of the judge, and I got up and spoke to the judge, got to say something to the judge about how I felt, what I did, and I'm sorry for anything that I caused problems with, and sat back down, and my lawyer, my court-appointed lawyer, said less than the prosecuting attorney did for me that day. He was actually a better lawyer for me in talking to the judge. As it turned out, I received a $250,000 fine, which I'll still be paying for the rest of my life. 6 months at a halfway house and 6 months home confinement, which I was relieved because it's a lot better than 83 years. So that being said, that following Sunday, that prosecuting attorney came and worshiped with me at Good Shepherd. He came, looked for me, looked me up, talked to the pastor, and he sat there and worshiped with me on that Sunday, which I thought was tremendous. So anyway, I started my 6 months at Dismas House, and if you've never know about a halfway house, you sleep there, you're able to go to work, you're required to go to work, and then you have to come back there, and you can leave occasionally on the weekends to go to do your shopping and stuff like that. So 6 months of that halfway. This is out 31st and Harrison. So I did the 6 months there. While I was there, I started a prayer group. We met on a Wednesday night at the Dismas House. It was run by 2 Methodist ministers. I went through the five-step program they had here, and I was with, these are people that come out of prison to go to the halfway house and then get out after that. And I was with people that had done murder, robbery, anything you could think of, they were there. So it was a mixed variety of criminals, including me. But it was run by ministers, and it was a good experience. I made the best of that. I came out of there, went to home confinement, got to wear one of those little bracelets, on your leg. And they did allow me to go to church and be out and about for a little bit here and there. Well, about that time, this church started up as I got out of there. And I was able to go, and we started playing in the band over at Good Shepherd, practicing there before we got started with the church. And then I began, and God was with me all the time through all this stuff. I thought God had separated from me. I had some doubt, but I knew that He was, those times that I had doubt, that He was carrying me, just like the footprints say. He was carrying me, getting me through the hard obstacles. And then when it all turned out, when the prosecuting attorney helped me out, when he came to worship with me, that was God guiding him. And he really was concerned about my well-being. And it was just a terrific thing that I'll never forget. But as I said, North Star was starting up at that time, so I got the chance to play in the band. Been playing 18 years, and I thought I would be better by now, but I guess not yet, so I got a long way to go. But as North Star started up, the first Saturday before our first Sunday church, we, Rick and Russ, several of us there, we got up there to learn how to set up and tear down the stage and all that stuff at the Shoal Creek School. Well, we did that twice in the same day on Saturday. We did it the first time, tore it down, set it up again, and it was quite the experience. Well, from that day forward, I was setting up and tearing down almost every Sunday. Rick and Russ and I were opening up the doors of Shoal Creek and do whatever it took to get this church started. It was a great experience. I felt obligated to do the things for the church because I couldn't give my money. I give my presence and my ability to do things, but I didn't have the money to give to the church that I wanted to. So I felt obligated to do all that, and very seldom did I miss a Sunday and set up and tear down. Even when we moved out of there to go to the other school, I was always there to help set up and tear down. But that was my guilt because I wasn't able to do the things for, the money thing for North Star. Today I'm giving some money, but it's still, with paying $250,000 fine, it's kind of hard to give out money. But needless to say, it was my things have changed. I got God first, I got my family, and then I got my work. And things have really changed in my life. And I only have one person to think about that, and that's God. But the people that turned my life around, Wayne Croy, the people I met here at this church, you've all touched my life in some way, just in by being who you are. And I give thanks for that. I know God has always been with me after that went through Cursil. I think he was always with me, I just didn't realize it. And I think that was something that's important that each and every one of you ought to realize. Even through the roller coaster rides that we have, God is always with us. He never leaves us. He gives us everything we need. We just got to realize and reach out for it. So I hope to be able to add to this story down the road. I kind of messed up my slides a little bit. One of the things that I think that happened, I was preparing for this message, and God, I don't think I have a tablet back there with my message on it, but I don't think God wanted me to go off that tablet. He wanted it from here. And I truly thank you for listening to my story. Amen. Let us pray. Let us pray. Most wonderful and gracious God, I thank you for allowing me to tell a story that we talk about where a lot of times we don't know that you're with us, but you're with us every day, every hour, every minute. I know that you truly are a wonderful person, and we need to believe and not have the doubt that we're all alone. We just ask, Lord, that you be with each and every one of us, giving us strength and courage to make it through whatever is put in our path, Lord. I just know that you are a special, special, special Lord. Give thanks. In your name's Son. Amen.
So normally this is the part of the service where we have communion. And instead of communion today, we'll be kind of having a song of contemplation. And I was thinking that, and thank you, Wayne, again, for sharing your story with us today. So a lot of the songs we sing are us talking to God, and I think if you listen to the words of this song, you will hear what God wants to say to you.
Why are you striving to earn grace. Why are you crying? Let me lift up your face. Just don't turn away. Why are you looking for love? Why are you still searching as if I'm not enough? To where will you go, child? Tell me, where will you run? To where will you run? And I'll be by your side wherever you fall in the dead of night. Whenever you call, and please don't fight these hands that are holding you. And my hands are holding you. Look at these hands at my side. They swallowed the grave of that night when I drank up all the sin, so I could carry you in, give you life. I wanna give you life. And I'll be by your side whenever you call in the dead of night. Whenever you call, and please don't fight these hands that are holding you. My hands are holding you here at my side. Whenever you call in the dead of night. Whenever you call, and please don't fight these hands that are holding you. My hands are holding you. 'Cause I love you. I want you to know. And I love you. I'll never let you go. No, no. And I'll be by your side whenever you call in the dead of night. Whenever you call, and please don't fight these hands that are holding you. My hands are holding you here at my side. Whenever you call in the dead of night. Whenever you call, and please don't fight these hands that are holding you. My hands are holding you. Here at my side, my hands are holding you.
All right, again, thanks for your time here this morning. And, you know, Wayne took the courage to share his story this morning, and it's very important that we all share our stories, because one person can share their story with a few people, but if each one of us goes out and shares our story, think of all the people that can be affected by the story of God in our lives. So we have another brief video to inspire you to share your story. We have opportunities to tell our stories to each other, and we have opportunity to tell and change the stories of others in our community. So we still have some small groups that haven't started yet. We have a Thursday night women's group that will be starting this week, so if you haven't signed up for that, you can still do that. This is last call for anyone who wants to do the Pray God Not Food study that Frida would be leading after church, so you would make a meal and do your study on Sundays after church. And then also the Lent study will be starting soon. So those studies haven't started yet, but if there's a study you want to join that's already started, that wouldn't be a problem either. So make sure that you get connected. Those small groups are an awesome time to share your story. Also, it's that time of year again. I think we're on number 7. I'm not really sure. I think it's WEOW number 7. And so WEOW stands for Women Evening of Worship. And so I can't be more excited to have this coming up and like have a building and a place. And we know the doors will be unlocked when we get here and the chairs will be set. I mean, like, I can't even tell you how exciting that is. And I hope that all the women out there, sorry guys, will go ahead and start inviting their friends and offer to help. Helping will be a lot easier than it's been in the past too. We have a kitchen, we have so many awesome things here at this building. So if you're willing to help, if you would sign up, we got to get that going so that we can share God's word with the women in our community. The Relay for Life team is starting to have fundraisers for, last year we exceeded our Relay for Life goal. And so the reason that we wanted to get this information out early is so you can start marking your calendars and make dinner plans. I am a meal prepper, and I can already tell you what I'm going to have on March 21st and May 15th. So mark your calendars and help support the Relay for Life team. And if you want to join that team, there'll be more information coming soon. And Dustin's going to share about some summer opportunities for the youth.
Hey, good morning, youths. We were supposed to go Oasis a couple weeks ago. It got postponed due to weather. So high school, if you're interested, March 29th and 30th, we have an Oasis. It's a small youth retreat. You're going to come hang out in Manhattan, so you're going to meet some amazing people. Check out my college campus. We'll have Caldwell ice cream and amazing pizza. Ryan can tell you how amazing it is, AJ's. And hear awesome messages. So guys, really think about that. Get with me. It's a low cost, $75. Let's do it. All right, Camp Barnabas. This is all church-wide. We're doing a mission trip. We're going to Camp Barnabas. We have a couple coming up. Camp Barnabas is the first one. If you want to talk about stories, check these people out. Have worked with this population, persons who are physically, mentally disabled. Passion and joy that they have for life is undescribable. So come check out Camp Barnabas. It'll be an awesome time. Dates are up here. June 15th through the 21st. Cost of that is $250. Next is Baby Grace. So if you can't manage a week, youth, this one's for you, Baby Grace. You have to apply to this one, but I know some people, so we may be able to pull some strings. Second to that, Crystal and I were asked to be the youth spiritual leaders for this one, so we're waiting on that. We would really love to take a couple of you with us. So pray about that, think about that. Camp Barnabas, Baby Grace, weigh your options. Church, Camp Barnabas is for you. They already have enough adult leaders at Baby Grace, sorry. But you can send prayers and encourage you to come. Thanks.
JYF is getting ready to have another event on Sunday, March 10th, 4 to 5:30 here at North Star. Oh, and Family Fuel Up, which is today at 6 p.m. For youth and their families. You're having what? Ribs? We're having ribs. And the Just Between Friends Sale and Sort is coming up soon for Baby Grace, and so you can find all that information here, and you can find it in the net news. That's that email that you get on Fridays that you're supposed to actually read, and also on the slides out in the Welcome Center and your bulletin too. So, if you will, we will not be praying after the song of celebration. We are going to celebrate, and we are going to go into the world and share our stories.